Hi, I'm Dave Burnett with AOK Marketing. I'm here today just to talk to you a little bit about analytics and how we use it to better help our customers grow their business through digital marketing. And even though we are partial to different channels, what I'm going to go through today is acquisition and all the different channels that you could potentially use and track to be able to understand where and how to make more money online. So what I've got here is I've got up Google Analytics, Universal View, and this is actually the Google Merchandise Store view. So if you go to Google and you type in Google Merchandise Demo Store, you'll actually be able to download access to the Google Merchandise Store so you can see exactly what I'm looking at on your own computer and go through a couple different things on your own. So over here on the left side, I said we were talking about acquisition today. So you've got real-time traffic, audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. Today, we're just going to go over acquisition, and this view that you're seeing here in the middle is the acquisition overview. You've got your top channels, so channels, direct, paid, affiliate, other display, how many users in this time frame. So this is in June of 2021. Conversions, e-commerce conversion rate, and then acquisition. So where most of the traffic comes from, and then where all the conversions happen. So interestingly, there's only 5 channels. If you have your own traffic in your own Google Analytics account, you could have 8 or 9, depending on how you've got it structured and set up. So some of the ones that are missing here, just off the top, is social. That's a missing one. And then also email. So if I change the timeline, maybe I'll get a couple more, we'll go back to the first of the year. See if we've got some more acquisition through different channels. And sometimes Google Analytics takes a minute. But yeah, there we go. So we got social, affiliates, display, paid search, other, all that kind of good stuff. And you can see the conversion rate modifies over time. And that would be something we'd want to potentially look at as to why conversions were so low through there versus conversion rates over through here. Great thing about analytics, it can help you analyze those kinds of things. So new users direct. So in case you don't know, direct is when people actually go and type in www.google.com or aokmarketing.com or whatever. And then paid search is paid search. Other is unclassified. Display or display ads. If you've ever seen on any of the websites, I'm sure you have. Affiliates are paid people who have different links to drive traffic to your site. Organic search is if you actually Google it. And interestingly, they only 290 searches versus 266,000. Referral is if you've got a link on another website, and then social is social. So when we take a look at over the left side here, all traffic, and we actually take a look at the channels here on the left side, this gives you a more detailed breakdown of what we were just looking at. So users, new users, sessions, bounce rate, pages, average duration, e-commerce conversion, transactions, and revenue. So this is really interesting to see what the revenue is. So I'm going to sort this column by revenue, direct, and then paid search, and then others. So even, it's interesting to see even something as small as organic search, which only has 290 users, had more revenue than affiliates at 1,000 visits or 1,900 visits and $183. So good way that you can actually compare your revenue by channels. That's over here on the left-hand side. Then you get into some different tree maps. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous because 93% of their traffic comes from direct, but you can see all the different users over here and the channel grouping again. Source medium, this basically talks about where the greatest traffic comes from. Direct none, Google CPC. So if you're running, say, for example, Bing ads, this would say Bing CPC, DFA CPM, that's display, partners affiliate, mall.googleplex, that's internal referrals, analytics. So that's why they got some referral traffic, because it's all internal. Because remember, this is the Google Merchandise Store, and in case I didn't define it earlier, t-shirts, hats, and pens that say Google or Android or those kinds of things on them. That's what this Google Analytics view is showing. So interestingly, if you adjust it by revenue again, Google CPC, mall.googleplex.com referral. So that's our internal referral. So that's where we are. And if you want to dig more into your referrals, here they are. You can see the referral sessions were actually higher up. So I'm imagining they took a link off and that's why it no longer shows. Interestingly here, if you don't have access to Google Ads, so there's different permissions for Google Ads versus Google Analytics, but you do have access to the analytics. Say you have access to analytics, but not Google Ads, you can actually see it all here, or most of it here, under the accounts. So this is the access, the name of the account, how many clicks, total cost. Now, this is Google, so this is a bit of a joke internally, but it didn't really cost them $110,000. But if it did, you take a look at the revenue over here. That means they made $9,000 in revenue off $110,000 in cost. If this was my marketing program, you got to shut that down, right? That's a ridiculous 10 cents on every dollar you spend. Might as well sit in the corner and punch yourself in the face. You get more profit from that. And I'm sorry, as a recording, I probably shouldn't say stuff like that, but really, you got to take a look at all of your platforms in each way. And I got to have a little fun with the videos too. So when you take a look at the campaigns themselves, they have these different structure. BMM probably stands for broad match modified. EXA is probably exact match. So if you actually dig into these are exact match keywords. AdWords hoodies as an example, and you go in there and there's the keyword hoodies. All right, so you can see it didn't advertise much beyond that. But if we take a look back, what you want to do is you want to sort by revenue again. So if we go over here to the right-hand side of the $10,000 in revenue, this is their highest performing campaign. Mix, text, AdWord, Google brand. So they're advertising for the Google brand, lowercase. And so this has gotten the most traffic. So branded traffic. So completely different lesson, but Google AdWords, often we divide it up into branded traffic and non-branded traffic, kind of at the very highest level. Branded being people who are searching for your keyword terms, non-branded being kind of everything else. So let me move farther down here into the tree maps. Again, not real helpful given the way that they've got it structured. Site links. So these are site links. So in your ads, you have different site links. Basically, they make you take up more real estate on the homepage when you actually are serving an ad. And these are the way the different clicks and revenue and cost have actually been by site link. And you see they made $10 whole off a $12,000 approximate cost. So bid adjustments, these are different things. How many clicks, what different types of bid adjustments. And actually, interestingly, they've got mobile devices, computers, and tablets. And you can see, again, if we sort by revenue, top line is, again, this same one. And computers resulted in all that revenue. If we expand out this one here to see the AdWords branded US, California, again, mostly computers, a little bit of mobile device revenue. So something to look at. And then if you actually want to sort and look just by keyword, that's all here too. You can sort again by revenue, and you'll see the branded phrase, Google merchandise store, Google apparel, et cetera, Google t-shirts. So it's all branded keywords, but you see when you actually look at it, they do have other keywords that they're advertising for. They're just not generating any revenue over here on the right. Search queries. So these are the actual search terms that people have entered into Google. This is actually very helpful if you're doing non-branded searches, a place to kind of harvest more non-branded search terms. So YouTuber merch, t-shirt, YouTube store, interestingly, vintage clothing. But again, when we come down to the revenue side, see what search terms are actually turning, generating cash for them. It's all branded searches. Taking a look at the hour of the day. This is interesting because I know their store is global. So, as you can see, if we sort by revenue, going backwards, there we go. So 12, so hour of the day, middle of the day, 12, and then 20. So 8 o'clock at night, 9 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And these times are based on whatever the settings are that the individual account is. And I'm assuming it's going to be on West Coast time, California time. And that's where it is. But day of the week, most revenue, day 2. That's interesting. So Tuesdays, or depending on how they have it structured, I believe it's Tuesday. And then final URLs, where people actually land and what final URL they go to, and see what is the highest converter. And it's taking a while to actually sort. There we go. So this is the shop.googlemerchandisestore.com, Google redesign shop by brand, Google. So clicking on that, you can then dig in a little bit deeper as well. And you can see it actually was generating a lot more revenue for them before March. And if we actually, don't want to go there. I wanted to actually click on it and see if it'll kick us over to that page. There it is. So you can actually see the Google official merchandise store. Here's some of the Google product that you could potentially buy that we're talking about looking at this store. But anyways, I digress. Display targeting. There's a number of different ways that they could target on display, but they're not running any ads, video campaigns, shopping campaigns, same thing. And the next part within the acquisition overview is actually Search Console. So if you connect up Search Console into your Google Analytics, it'll actually import data from Google Search into your actual Google Analytics. So you can sort by, for example, landing page. So these are the way that the landing page, the most popular landing page is. And this is what it is, this Dino Game Tee. Interesting, merino layer tee. So available quantities and everything they've got in their store. But that doesn't actually matter in terms of revenue. When you take a look at revenue, their homepage basket, Google Design, apparel men's, and then this bottle has actually generated some revenue as well. Oh, it did in the past anyways. So the other thing is you take a look at countries. Google Search Console also tells you where traffic has originated and which country that it's coming from. And this can be very helpful depending on where your marketing is, because this is for all search. This isn't just for what you're doing on your paid search side of things, but if, for example, you take a look by revenue, all the revenue is in the United States. But if, for example, there was some revenue in Turkey or if there was revenue in Canada, you would then potentially look at, all right, does it make sense to increase our advertising there or try and improve our presence in those places? Now, the next part here on the Search Console is devices. Depending on which device, now the vast majority of conversions we see for this type of product tend to be desktop. And as you can see, it's also desktop. But it really depends on what you're selling, how you're selling it, and what you're measuring for conversion. So this is e-commerce conversion for t-shirts and hats. Desktop will always be the most popular one there. And if we go over here to the Search Console search queries, as opposed to the search queries from paid ads, you'll see where the search queries from. And interestingly, the dinosaur game has resulted in the most search queries for this merchandise store, even way above Google Merchandise Store. So that's probably why that shirt that we were looking at before that has the dinosaur game on it was as popular as it was. Now, if we actually take a look at the next part of acquisition is social. How many people came to this page from different social networks? Google Groups has obviously got the most. I mean, these are tiny numbers, but Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and then if you had more social traffic, you would have, Twitter and Instagram and all the others listed here as well. There's going to be very little information here in terms of network referrals, and then, landing pages where people are actually getting to. But this is all important information if you use social as a large channel of yours. And then what kind of conversions you generated from that. Unfortunately, they didn't have any. And then where the user flow come in, and there will hopefully be a little bit of user flow. Yeah, so there's a little bit of user flow. This is actually a flow. There's actually a very interesting graph depending on it. So you can see people who came in from YouTube, shop by brand, and then they all dropped off. That's what this red bar is. So if you're looking at this in your own, that's what it actually is. And then the last part is your campaigns. So depending on how you're actually structuring your campaigns, this talks about Google Ads as well. But if you have different other campaigns running, like this data share promo, this is another campaign that actually generated a little bit of revenue and a little bit of traffic, but a little bit of transactions, but a ton of traffic relative to the other campaigns that they're running. So if we sort again by revenue, there it is right in there. But you could do some interesting things on this. You can actually take a look at the source, see what the source of that traffic is within the campaign and within the campaigns that you're running. So, Google and then partners. And then if you've got source medium, that can actually tell you, within Google and within partners, what the medium was as well. So Google CPC and partner affiliate. If you want to dig into the paid keywords again, in case there's more than just Google AdWords coming in, if say, for example, there was Bing ads or Microsoft ads coming in as well, that will often show here, but we've already gone through that on the other side. So taking a look at these keywords, and by the way, the little plus sign is a modified broad match. indicator, which means that it's not just a broad hoodies, but it's a little bit narrower than that. Now, some of the things where it could also get interesting is under the organic keywords. As you'll notice, the vast majority of them are not provided, but these ones, shop, Google Merchandise Store is an organic keyword as well. And then at the end here, as the last part, is the cost analysis. This can give you an idea of your return on ad spend. So the interesting thing is in this, it actually says your cost is $111,000. Your return on ad spend is 454%, which I'm not sure how that is calculated because, to be honest, that is completely wrong. So we'll have to figure out what exactly they're doing over there. It's the return on the ad spend with the view, but yeah, so because you can't get $110,000 and have revenue per click of $6.99. So there's obviously something going on here. But when you're actually doing this for yourself, some of these numbers you can use, but you can also use them manually. So nothing like finishing off on a bunch of data that doesn't necessarily make sense. So the important things for you to remember is when you're here in the acquisition overview, take a look at where your channels are coming in. And this overview is a nice view of taking a look at the e-commerce rate and the number of transactions over here. Easy rules of thumb. Your paid search should be converting better than your organic search. So in this case, it's not actually happening, but it should also be converting better than your direct traffic too. But you will often see the vast majority of your traffic from organic and direct. And that this is no different. Now, the interesting thing is there's some social and some referral conversions as well, but the traffic numbers are so small, you'd have to really try and get those up. So that's it. Oh, one other thing. You can also do some channel grouping. So if you wanted to, you can also figure out which top sources and mediums are. And you can also change your goals. So instead of doing e-commerce, which we were running through, you can do purchase completed, which should run some similar numbers. But if you had, say, for example, registrations, you were driving registrations instead, that would give you different numbers over here. So yeah, so hopefully that was a little bit helpful. Hopefully there's something there you can take away to your own Google Analytics. And if there's anything we can ever do, please reach out. Have a great day.